Hey guys, and welcome. Today we're going to take a look at what Ironforge used to look like back in World of Warcraft Alpha version. Now if you don't believe that this is Alpha version, we can check the world map, and if I press the M button on my keyboard or hit this thing over here, you can see that the world is a completely different place, and this is World of Warcraft Alpha, as you can see before you. And there's all sorts of different areas in here, like this thing, this thing, this thing. And over here there's some extra islands, some random stuff, but for the most part this is World of Warcraft Alpha. Now one thing that's different in the regular version, because they actually both look very similar, is that there's no graveyard over here. So there's a graveyard in the current version of WoW, like a staircase goes all the way up to here, and there's like a graveyard over there. In this version there's no graveyard here, so that's one difference. And for the most part outside it looks pretty much exactly the same as it does in the current WoW. The only differences I would see are the fact that there are these birds here that are not moving at all, and same with this. And also female dwarf models were very different back then than they are now. As you can see, they look a lot better in my opinion back then than they actually do right now. So that's a very different thing as well. Also, I'm a dwarven mage, and dwarves were able to become mages back then. I'm not sure if they're allowed to today, but they were definitely enabled to back then. And another thing that you'll notice that's different is the fact that there are no statues here, and in the usual current WoW there's a bunch of statues that greet you as you walk by. In this version there's no statues to greet you, it's just like barren landscape. And here there's supposed to be like a massive dwarven statue of like a king or something, and he's like holding two axes above his head, and it's just a huge statue, and you can't see that here. It's just a giant empty hallway, as you can see. And this is now the entrance to Ironforge. So we're now entering Ironforge, and for the most part it's really hard to tell what the difference is unless you take another look. I mean, overall the texture and the theme around Ironforge is roughly the same, but the placement of the buildings and the rooms are completely different. I think this is supposed to be where the inn is placed at, and as you can see it's now an alchemist room over there. And what is this place over here? And this place I guess is the inn, and the other one was usually a closed door, I believe, and that's a little bit different than it is today, I guess. Or maybe not. Could be the same. And here's something else that's different, and that is this hallway over here. It doesn't exist in the regular WoW version, as you can see. And if I could actually show you the map of this place if I press M, but however if I do press M it shows you a completely random map that's irrelevant to Ironforge. So there is no map for this place as far as I can tell. And whoa, I accidentally fell off the edge there due to the lag. For some reason I guess the graphics cards were not optimized back then, and they didn't really program graphics so well, and even though my computer can run the highest settings in World of Warcraft for the current version, it somehow still lags when playing this version of WoW, which is the alpha version, much older version, and yet it still lags inside of Ironforge, which is very strange in my opinion. But I believe it's because, like I said earlier, the programmers didn't optimize it for the graphics cards back then, and they were able to do so now. The settings I put in are basically the lowest settings. The only thing I put up really high was the view distance, so you're able to see a much farther distance than what you would be able to see if I made it lower. So this is the Mystic Ward area, or at least the area where it's supposed to be in the regular version, as you can see. And there's no giant pool over here. As you can see, Ironforge is like a 2-floor area now. It's a 2-floor capital city. There's one floor here and another floor up here, and if you count that other floor down there that people fall down into it, then there's 3 floors into this great city. And for the most part everything is basically the same as it was. I think you can go inside of here as well and climb up a staircase and jump down, and overall it's just basically the same thing. I'm now going to increase my speed so we can navigate through this place faster, and I'm gonna just basically make my speed 21, which is 3 times the speed, so 200% movement speed increase. So it's basically like a, not as fast as an epic flying mount, but faster than a regular epic mount. So I think that's a little bit too fast though, so let's just make it 14. Let's just make it 100%. So like as fast as an epic round, I believe. And if we jump down, we can continue the rest of the way. So the animation is a bit weird for her. That's why I usually kept it at a much lower setting, a lower speed setting. But anyway, let's just keep on exploring this place. As you can see, there's so many floors in this Ironforge. It would be really nice to imagine what it would be like if this is what the developers made Ironforge instead of what it is right now. I'm guessing it would be very confusing, because the reason why they replaced this Ironforge with the current one is because people often got lost here. It was just too many floors. It wasn't really a circular model like it is today, and the areas were just completely different than it is. And you can see that the Griffin Master is over here instead of in the center where it's supposed to be, and I will show you why that the Griffin Master is located inside of the Dwarven Library instead of the Great Forge, which is in the center. And you can see this is the Great Library, which I think is the excavation hall or room of expedition explorers hall or something like that. I don't know what it's currently called in today's WoW, but this is the Great Library. It is what it's called back then. And there's not really that many books here in this Great Library. You would imagine like a ginormous library, but there's just like one room with a few bookshelves. And that's their Great Library for you. That's Ironforge's Great Library for some reason. And yeah, this place is just so enormous. It's huge. And yeah, we're just going down along the path. And here we can see that people will get lost because it's almost the same exact layout, except like look, it looks like this. We're back in the Mystic Ward, right? Hey, we're back at the Mystic Ward. Oh no, what should we do? But it turns out if you actually go up the floor, whoops, I accidentally went up that staircase instead of this one. And yes, sorry, I apologize about the lag. For some reason, WoW Alpha lags a lot inside of heavily detailed places like this, and for some reason it doesn't in Cataclysm. Or Mist of Pandaria, I mean. But anyway, look at this. This is not the Mystic Ward. This is like the War Ward or something like that. This is like the Warriors Hall or something. And anyway, you can see that this is basically the same exact place as it was before. You can see that there's an Alterac Valley map. Even in World of Warcraft Alpha version, they're already considering a Alterac Valley battlegrounds. There's some tanks here, which are these tanks here, and there's some plains here as well, which are the plains right there. But they were never actually put into Alterac Valley, and I'm not sure why they were never put into Alterac Valley, but they just weren't. However, they are on that battleground map of Alterac Valley. And if we just continue on, you can see that we are now back at the same area we were at before, and that was the entrance of the place. So we've basically explored the entire outskirts of Ironforge now, even including down in this area. There's nothing really to see there, but we already fell once, and there's not much over there. Let's go ahead and visit one of these houses to see what's inside. And as you can see, for the most part, they're basically the same houses that they are today, except look at how detailed these houses are. You can't really sit in the chairs back then for some reason. You can just walk through them though. And yeah, for the most part, it looks very highly detailed for this one room out of obscurity. And yeah, it's very detailed for an obscure room. So what is this? There's this thing in the center. Anyway, we go down to the inner parts of Ironforge now, and you can see that there are 2 elevators, and I guess I'm in the wrong area. This is why people got lost in here, because there's 2 identical parts like this. Each one, the other section for the other side of the hallway, I guess, has 2 elevators inside, but this one doesn't have any elevators. And now we're in the Dwarven Bazaar. So this is where the bank is in the current, and not in the current World of Warcraft. In the current World of Warcraft, it's like in the main center hall, but in here, it was like hidden far back, tucked behind everything. So you had to enter through there, and then you had to go through here to get to the bank. But as you can see, why that gets confusing later on, because there's another exactly identical part like this one on the other side, and it is easy to get lost, let me tell you that. So now we're entering this area, and I think I don't remember what this area was called, but it was It was where I think rogues and warlocks were trained here for the Dwarven capital city. And so it's like the dark part of the Ironforge. It's like a mysterious place, and we just keep going around, and you can see that one of these hallways ends up in here, and this is actually goes down to a place, and I think that one goes down to Old Ironforge, which people call Old Ironforge for some reason. There was never really use for that room, and ever since it was released, so they just managed to hide it in a way in the current WoW. And this is the place where you go to the Deep Run tram. As you can see, it's very weird layout. And now that we have explored the entire outer part of Ironforge, now we can go into the inner part of Ironforge, which is called the Great Forge. Now there's not really much to see here, and for some reason if you move your camera in the wrong angle, that would happen. And like I said, there's not much to see here except for this weird building here, and that's supposed to be the Great Forge. And it's let me just zoom into my character, yeah, so you can see a lot better. And look at that, that's the Great Forge. I don't really know much about why it's known as the Great Forge, but that's the Great Forge for you. I don't even know how you are able to use it. There's no anvil or smith or anything really, and I don't think there were invisible walls back then, so if you actually jumped off of here, you would fall down into the lava and you would die. And I would not recommend doing that, so we're not going to do it here in this version. So anyway, that is pretty much the entire Ironforge for you for World of Warcraft Alpha. There's really not much else to see here other than that, and I guess as a conclusion we can enter one of these areas and see them, but I don't think we have enough time. So in the next video we're going to go down into here, which is Old Ironforge, so stay tuned for that, and the link will come up right here. Just click on that link if you want to watch this video, and it will give you a great look into what Old Ironforge looked like back in World of Warcraft Alpha. But don't be surprised if it's the same exact thing that it looks like today. And anyway, thanks for watching guys. If you like videos like this, then be sure to subscribe, as there will be more like this to come in the future.